Hey there, LEGO fans, and welcome back. Alex here. In this video, we are going to be doing a review on the new LEGO Technic McLaren P1 1/8 scale supercar. This is set number 42172, contains 3,893 pieces, and will retail for $450 US. Now, the P1 will be able to purchase as of August 1st. This is the fifth installment of the 1/8 scale supercars, keeping in line with the release schedule of one every 2 years. Its predecessors being, of course, the Porsche 911 GT3 RS, the Bugatti Chiron, the Lamborghini Scion, and of course the Ferrari Daytona SP3. The box for this does follow the same box top approach as the others, but despite them all being the same scale, the boxes these cars come in like to change a lot. The box for the Lamborghini and Bugatti are the only ones that appear to be the same size. Now, before I get into this, let me just say that with these large-scale Technic vehicles, you're not just buying a LEGO Technic set. You are also buying an experience that goes beyond just the build. In this case, the box opening is part of that experience. After removing the top, we see an overhead image of the real-life P1. The inner flaps are connected to the inner boxes and reveal the Technic version of the set underneath. These flaps also contain some striking images of the P1 as well. It's a very nice touch. After removing the three inner boxes, we find the building instructions tucked away at the bottom. These are two very large books. As expected, there is a lot of information and images for you to read and enjoy, so much that it seems like they could have actually just given us an entire magazine separate from the build instructions. The boxes are sequential, so the bags are not mixed up. In this case, we start with the middle box. The instructions introduce each section of the vehicle before you start to build. I really enjoyed this feature and found the information shared in these sections to be quite interesting. For example, I learned some really neat things about the approach from LEGO on how to tackle the 7-speed gearbox by introducing new elements. These also represent good times to take a break from the build, but I enjoyed the build so much that I rarely stepped away. I will also mention that my build time was around 8 hours. Now, watching this thing come together was a real treat. But yes, it is technical, it takes a while, your fingers actually do get kind of sore after you've been building for a while. But for me, I was very intrigued with how they were able to come up with such a complex but fun solution to so many working parts. The gearbox is what you build first, and it was mesmerizing. I kept stopping to play with how all the gears worked before it was ever close to being completed. This is what it looks like after box 1, which is almost all of book 1, mostly going to be the gearbox and the engine. This is what we get after completing box 2, which will mainly focus on the front of the vehicle. And finally, the last thing we build is right where we started, at the back. Now let's take a moment to look at this thing. I am not sure if it is because we only get one of these every 2 years, or that I just don't constantly handle my other 1/8 scale vehicles, but I always forget how big they are. Make no mistake, these things are huge, and the McLaren P1 is no exception. The larger scale allows for a lot of great details to be added that just wouldn't be possible in a smaller scale. While it is obvious that the exterior benefits from the larger scale, it's actually what's on the inside that benefits the most. Let's start with the gearbox. Once the car is fully built, our best look at it is from the bottom. As you can see, there are a lot of moving parts. I was unsure what this circular piece was for, but I think it's actually just to allow us to demonstrate the working gears without having to turn the wheels or gears directly. That's a nice feature that its predecessors do not have. There is a gear lever in the cab that allows you to shift the car from neutral to drive and reverse. Of all the 5 supercars that we have now, the gear shifter in this one is by far my favorite. I think it looks the best and it functions the smoothest in my opinion. Now, some might question why all of this is necessary in a LEGO Technic car that will primarily be displayed. One could raise the question of why not just give us the same scale and look, but without all of the complexities that are unseen and for the most part go unused. This would significantly lower the price as well. Now, these are all good arguments, but for me, it is about the building experience, the challenge that these models bring. It is about knowing that this does not just look like the McLaren P1, it operates like the McLaren P1. Not to mention, it's fun to show off how it works to your visitors. Now the doors on this thing work very well, and once again, I am amazed at the complexity used to make sure that something as simple as opening and closing a door works. I especially like the fact that the doors remain open, they don't slowly close due to the weight, and believe me, these things are heavy. They close nicely, almost like a real door. There's some space under the hood, and we even get a stand to keep it open. As expected, we do get a bag, though this one is less flashy than some of the others. There is a working spoiler. This is operated by turning this gear at the back. Now what's interesting about this is that the first thing you build is the mechanism that lifts it, and the last thing you build is the spoiler itself. So it's kind of a fun full circle thing. I really liked it. You can remove the back section to reveal the engine, but you do need to remove 2 pins and the spoiler to do so. It's relatively easy to do. Now we can see the mighty twin turbo V8. I believe the real P1 puts out 903 horsepower. Oh, and of course it's a hybrid. I think that's worth mentioning as well. Other moving parts will include the steering. As expected, it is controlled by the steering wheel. No other external mechanisms are used. I will say that the turning radius on these cars is very limited, but I'd rather have some steering than no steering. Oh, and of course we need to test the suspension. So here we go. With the P1, will the P1 pass the bounce test? In other words, will the suspension pop the car back up, or is it too heavy? It looks like it pops right back up, so that's awesome to see, though I will say there's not exactly a lot of suspension travel. The suspension elements LEGO is using now work so much better for the weight of these vehicles, and I also love the new A-arm designs. It gives them a much more realistic look. The rims on these cars are all very different and match the design of the real vehicle. I think these might be my favorite looking rim and tire package of these 1/8 scale supercars. They've come a long way since the Porsche 911 GT3 RS. There are no stickers, thank goodness for that. There are actually a lot of printed elements used throughout the vehicle. Most of that's going to be the P1 badging. There's also a printed tile for the center console, and though hard to see, there is also a printed tile for the dashboard gauges. The largest printed element, of course, will be the 8x16 tile with the specs of the McLaren P1. Only this and the Ferrari Daytona SP3 benefit from this larger display tile. All the other ones have a smaller plaque or none at all. There is a criticism I have, and this should come as no surprise to those familiar with Technic elements, but there will be some blue pins exposed at the surface. It's not terrible, but I know it can bug some people, though it's nowhere near as bad as the Lamborghini. So that is a quick look at the new LEGO Technic McLaren P1 supercar in 1/8 scale. A big thank you to the LEGO group for providing this early copy for review. And you know what I'm going to have to do next? I'm going to have to do a comparison with the other 4 supercars, kind of figure out which one I like the best. It's getting really difficult to choose a favorite because they're all so amazing and they continue to really raise the bar with every single one. So look forward to that. I also got to figure out where I'm going to put this thing, so I'll put that in the next video there as well. But would I recommend this thing? For me, it's a no-brainer. I'm a huge fan of these large-scale Technic supercars, so it's a no-brainer for me to say, yeah, you're going to love it. But I get that it's not for everybody, especially at $450. That's a lot of money to throw at a LEGO set. So I guess if you have any of the 1/8 scale supercars already, whether it's one or a lot of them, you're going to love this one too because they just keep getting better. It's so incredible, these things. The whole experience with unboxing these things, the instructions, the build experience, it's phenomenal. So, and also you guys who have watched my channel for any number of years, you guys know that if I didn't get this from LEGO, I would be picking it up on day one. So I'll leave you with that. But I do want to know what you guys think. So please let me know by leaving a comment in the comment section below because, I mean, where else would you leave a comment, right? All right, guys, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. And we'll see you in the next one. Bye.